1977 Roosevelt dime could be worth $500, and I found it in a $2 bankroll while searching for mint errors that collectors pay serious money for. I spent 37 hours going through roll after roll of dimes, looking for that one special coin that could change everything. My hands were cramped, my eyes were tired, but when I spotted something unusual about this particular 1977 dime, my heart started racing. See this tiny detail right here? It's the difference between 10 cents and $500. Let me tell you about this incredible 1977 Roosevelt dime and why experienced collectors are paying premium prices for certain varieties from this year. Most people walk right past these coins, but I'm about to show you exactly what to look for and why this particular year has numismatists so excited. Stick around. I'm about to reveal something that will completely change how you look at loose change. The 1977 Roosevelt dime was minted during a fascinating period in American coinage history. The Philadelphia Mint struck 796,930,000 dimes that year, while the Denver Mint produced 376,607,228. That's over 1 billion dimes flooding into circulation. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all 1977 dimes are created equal. The standard composition is a copper-nickel clad, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs exactly 2.27 grams and measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter. Now here's what most collectors don't realize about 1977 dimes. While the majority are worth exactly 10 cents, there are specific varieties and conditions that can multiply that value significantly. I'm talking about full band specimens, where Roosevelt's torch on the reverse shows completely separated horizontal and vertical bands. In mint state condition with full bands, these coins can reach $50 to $100 at auction. But that's just the beginning. The real treasure hunt begins when you start looking for mint errors from 1977. I've discovered double die varieties, off-center strikes, and planchet errors that serious collectors will pay hundreds for. 3 weeks ago, I found a 1977 D with a 15% off-center strike that sold for $325. The buyer contacted me within hours of my listing going live. You won't believe what happened when I took this particular 1977 dime to my local coin expert. His reaction was absolutely priceless. He immediately grabbed his magnifying glass, then reached for his digital scale, then started pulling out reference books I'd never seen before. After 20 minutes of careful examination, he looked up at me and said something that made my jaw drop. But before I reveal what he discovered, let me show you exactly how to identify valuable 1977 dimes yourself. First, check the mint mark. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, while Denver coins show a small D below Roosevelt's neck on the obverse. The mint mark placement is crucial. It should be sharp and well-defined. Any weakness or doubling in the mint mark could indicate a valuable variety. Next, examine the torch on the reverse side. This is where the magic happens for collectors. The horizontal bands across the torch should be completely separated from the vertical bands. When these bands touch or merge together, the coin loses significant premium value. Perfect separation creates what we call a full band designation, abbreviated as FB in grading services. This single detail can transform a 10-cent coin into a $100 treasure. I've developed a systematic approach to hunting these coins. I start by purchasing bankrolls from different branches, targeting older stock that might contain uncirculated specimens. My success rate is approximately 1 valuable coin per 50 rolls, but the payoff makes the search worthwhile. Last month alone, I discovered $460 worth of valuable dimes from my searches. The grading process is absolutely critical for maximizing value. Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation are the two services most collectors trust. A coin that might seem perfect to your eye could have microscopic issues that drop it from MS67 to MS65, cutting the value in half. I learned this lesson the hard way when my first perfect 1977 D full band came back graded MS64 instead of the MS67 I was expecting. Here's something fascinating that most people don't know about 1977 Roosevelt dimes. The dies used that year were showing signs of wear by late in the production run, creating subtle varieties that experienced collectors actively seek. I'm talking about die cracks, die chips, and die breaks that create unique characteristics on specific coins. Some of these varieties are worth 2 to 5 times the normal premium. The market for high-grade Roosevelt dimes has exploded over the past 5 years. Registry set collectors are driving demand through the roof, competing for the finest examples to complete their sets. A 1977 full band in MS-68 condition can bring $400 to $600 at major auctions. The population reports show fewer than 20 coins graded at this level by both major services combined. But here's what my expert discovered about this specific coin that day. After examining it under high magnification, he found something extraordinary. The torch bands showed perfect separation, earning the full band designation. But there was more. Under the microscope, he spotted a small die crack running through Roosevelt's hair that matches a known variety. This wasn't just any 1977 dime. This was a documented variety that serious collectors pay premium prices for. The authentication process took 3 weeks. I submitted the coin to professional coin grading service with crossed fingers and high hopes. When the package arrived back at my door, I could barely contain my excitement. The holder showed MS-66 full band with the die crack variety notation. My expert's initial assessment was spot on. Current auction results for similar specimens range from $400 to $700 depending on eye appeal and market conditions. The coin I found in that $2 bankroll had transformed from pocket change into serious money. This is why I spend countless hours searching through rolls. You never know when lightning will strike. The psychological aspect of coin collecting fascinated me throughout this process. Collectors develop an almost supernatural ability to spot potential treasures in massive quantities of ordinary coins. Your brain starts recognizing patterns and anomalies that most people would never notice. It's like developing X-ray vision for valuable coins. Storage and handling become critically important once you identify potential treasures. I use cotton gloves and store coins in archival quality holders to prevent fingerprints and environmental damage. A single careless moment can destroy hundreds of dollars in value. I've seen collectors accidentally drop grade levels by improper handling. The networking aspect of this hobby cannot be overstated. Building relationships with other collectors, dealers, and experts opens doors to opportunities you'd never find searching alone. My coin expert has become an invaluable resource, sharing knowledge that books and websites simply cannot provide. These relationships often lead to private sales and exclusive opportunities. Remember, always check your change, because the next coin in your pocket could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The treasure hunt never ends for those who know where to look. This 1990 USA dime sold for over $10,000, and I found it sitting in a $2 bankroll. Imagine tearing open a simple paper wrapper, expecting nothing more than pocket change, and instead seeing something that makes your hands shake. That's exactly what happened. And trust me, stick around, because what I discovered next, and what an expert told me after looking at it under magnification, will absolutely shock you. Let me tell you about this incredible 1990 Roosevelt dime. On the surface, it looks like every dime you've ever held. Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile, Liberty printed clean across the left, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date tucked down in the corner. The back shows the torch, the olive branch, the oak branch. But the difference lies in the details most people miss. A dime is supposed to have a mint mark. If it was struck in Denver, it carries a tiny D. And if it came from San Francisco for proof sets, an S. For Philadelphia coins of that era, you'd sometimes see no mint mark at all. But here's the thing. In 1990, proof coins from San Francisco were supposed to have that tiny S, except a handful slipped through the mint presses without one. And that's the jackpot. Now, before I get ahead of myself, let me set the stage. I've been coin hunting for weeks. I spent 37 hours total just searching through rolls, going blind from staring at date after date. I'd pull dimes, check the edges for silver, check the dates, and every time it was nothing but ordinary change. Honestly, I was about ready to give up. But then, in this one particular roll, boom, there it was. A 1990 dime with no mint mark at all. My pulse spiked instantly. Because if this wasn't just a circulation strike from Philadelphia but actually a proof coin missing its mint mark, then we were talking about serious money. Here's the guide you need to know if you ever stumble across one yourself. First, check the date, 1990. Second, look closely for the mint mark. On Roosevelt dimes, it's right above the date, near Roosevelt's neck. In normal cases, a San Francisco proof should show a crisp S. If it's missing, and the coin has that mirrored, reflective surface proof coins have, then you could be holding one of the most famous mint errors of modern coinage. And get this, only a tiny number are known to exist. We're talking a few hundred pieces at most. That scarcity is what drives the insane value. Stick around, because in a second I'll tell you exactly what happened when I carried this coin into an expert's shop. His reaction, priceless. But first, let me explain why this mistake even happened. Back in 1990, proof sets were struck in San Francisco with carefully polished dies and planchets. They were meant for collectors, not circulation. Every single one should have had an S mint mark. But somehow, during die preparation, a die was either left unpunched or struck without the mint mark hub, and that error die produced a batch of coins that slipped into proof sets. People opened those sets thinking they were just looking at another shiny dime, and some probably spent them, never realizing what they had. That's why every one of these that shows up today is like a treasure chest appearing out of nowhere. When I found mine, I knew I needed confirmation. Under normal light it looked right, but I wanted to be sure. So I went one step further. I placed it under a microscope. That's something most people never get to see, but I had access to one through a friend. And wow! The frosted details, the mirrored fields, every sign said, proof strike, and yet no mint mark. That's when I knew I was holding something extraordinary. At this point, my heart was racing, because condition matters. A dime like this, if it's been handled, if it has even one tiny scratch, the value drops like a rock. I was afraid to even breathe on it. I slid it carefully into a protective holder and booked an appointment with a local coin expert who's been in the business for over 40 years. And here's your first pattern interrupt. When I handed it over, he actually laughed out loud. Not because it wasn't real, but because he couldn't believe I had pulled it from a $2 roll. He said, "Do you realize what you have here?" That moment, seeing his eyes widen, it hit me harder than anything else. He inspected it with his loupe, then with a microscope, and finally pulled out reference books. "This," he said, "is the 1990 No-S proof dime, and you've got one in excellent shape." His words sent chills down my spine. Because here's the kicker. At auction, these have sold for well over $10,000. Some have gone for even more depending on the grade. Suddenly, all those hours of searching didn't feel wasted anymore. And let me break down why the value is so insane. It's the combination of rarity, error, and demand. Rarity because only a few hundred exist. Error because missing mint marks on proofs are legendary among collectors. They represent failures that shouldn't have happened. And demand because coin collectors love these stories. The accident that slipped past the mint, the needle in the haystack. Combine those, and you get a dime worth more than its weight in gold. Literally thousands of times over. Here's something else most people don't realize. Coins like this can sometimes be sitting in forgotten proof sets in someone's attic. Families inherit collections, don't know what they have, and sell them off in bulk. That's why roll hunting and estate sale digging can still produce results today. And that's why I keep searching, because every roll is like a lottery ticket. But let me hit you with another wow factor. This coin is channel exclusive in another way. I filmed the entire reveal under high magnification, something you don't see often outside of professional grading labs. Seeing the mirrored surface reflect light while that mint mark area is blank. It's breathtaking. I'll be sharing that footage so you can see what the expert and I saw in real time. You won't believe what happened next. The expert told me flat out, if you get this graded, you're looking at a 5-figure coin. And the grading process matters. A certified Proof 69 with no mint mark could push values even higher. Imagine that, from 10 cents to $10,000 just because of one tiny missing letter. Now, here's where I want you to picture yourself. You're holding a handful of dimes, ordinary change. You glance past them, thinking nothing of it. But what if, tucked in there, was a coin like this? That's why I always say check your change. It only takes one slip up at the mint to change everything. So there you have it, this rare 1990 no-S proof dime, worth thousands, pulled from an ordinary $2 bankroll. I spent 37 hours searching, and it finally paid off in the most dramatic way possible. Comment coin hunt if you've ever dreamed of finding something like this, and let me know what rare coins you've come across. And here's your teaser, next week. I'm revealing a coin discovery that's even crazier. A collection of rare coins worth over $10,000 found in a single lot. You won't want to miss it. Remember, check your change, because treasures are hiding right in front of you. This 2006 dime sold for over $10,000, and I found it sitting inside a $2 bankroll. My hands were literally shaking when I pulled it out. It looked like any other coin at first, but something about the way the edge caught the light made me stop. Imagine sifting through dozens of ordinary coins, nothing special, and then suddenly, you're holding one that could pay off your mortgage. Stick around, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you how I identified it, why collectors go absolutely crazy for it, and you won't believe what happened when I took this to an expert. His reaction was priceless. Let me tell you about this incredible coin. We're talking about the 2006 United States 1 dime. On the surface, it's one of the most common coins out there. Billions of these were minted. They're small, light, and so familiar that most people don't even give them a second glance. That's exactly what makes the story so fascinating, because among those billions, a tiny handful were struck with rare errors and features that make them some of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. And I just happened to stumble across one of them while searching through loose rolls from the bank. Now, before I explain how I found it, I need to show you what makes this coin so special. The 2006 dime in question has a unique error that slipped through the mint's quality control. To the untrained eye, it looks just like any other Roosevelt dime. Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile on the front, a torch, oak branch, and olive branch on the back. But here's the detail that changes everything. If you look very closely at the edge, there's a misstrike, meaning the coin was struck slightly off-center, and the reeded edge is incomplete. That doesn't sound like much, right? But here's the kicker. On this particular year, only a microscopic number escaped the presses with that defect. Combine that with the fact that it was never supposed to happen, and suddenly you've got one of the most desirable error coins of the modern era. I know what you're thinking. How can such a tiny detail make such a huge difference in value? Here's why. Collectors don't just want old coins. They want coins that tell a story. A minting error is like lightning in a bottle. It shows you exactly where the system slipped. It's proof of a 1-in-a-million accident that somehow survived and landed in circulation. And when that accident happens on a coin that's otherwise common, it makes the rare examples stand out even more. That's why this 2006 dime isn't just worth 10 cents. It can sell for thousands of dollars at auction. So, let's go back to the moment I found it. I had spent about 37 hours in total that week combing through bank rolls. Some days I'll pick up $50 in change just to hunt through. Most of the time it's tedious work. Your fingers get sore, your eyes blur, and you wonder if you're wasting your time. But I kept going because I knew stories like this happen. I cracked open the paper wrapper, poured the coins out onto my desk, and started sliding them across one by one. Then this one popped up. At first, I almost tossed it aside, but something about the way the rim looked just didn't match. I stopped, leaned in close, and that's when I spotted the off-center strike. My heart skipped a beat. Here's where it gets crazy. I pulled out my digital microscope, a tool I use exclusively on this channel to catch the tiniest details, and zoomed in on the edge. Under magnification, you could see it perfectly. The reading, which should have been clean and uniform, was broken halfway through. And just above Roosevelt's profile, there was a faint doubling on the letters. That's when I knew this wasn't just a minor flaw. This was the real deal. Stick around, because I'm about to show you something that will shock you. The next step was getting a professional opinion. You never want to assume value without confirmation. So I took it straight to an expert grader. This guy has seen everything. You can put almost any coin in front of him, and he'll tell you in seconds whether it's junk or treasure. When I slid the dime across his desk, he leaned in, adjusted his glasses, and went silent. That silence lasted way too long. Then he looked up and said, "You do realize what you've got here, right?" His exact words. I wish I had filmed his face, because he looked like someone had just handed him a gold nugget. You won't believe what happened next. He pulled out his loupe, rotated the coin under the light, and then gave this half smile that told me everything. This was a major discovery. Now let's talk value. Coins like this, 2006 Roosevelt dimes with confirmed off-center strikes and partial reading, have sold at auction for thousands of dollars. The record I found was over $10,000 for a pristine example. Even in slightly circulated condition, these errors can bring in hundreds, even thousands, depending on the grade. Mine wasn't mint state, but it was sharp enough that the expert believed it could break four figures easily. Think about that, a coin worth 10 cents becoming worth $1,000 or more, all because of a mistake at the mint. This is the part that blows me away. Out of billions of coins minted that year, only a microscopic number carry this defect. Most people have no idea they exist. That means there are probably still a few of these sitting in jars, cash registers, or even in your pocket right now. And here's the kicker. Most people will never notice, because the error is subtle unless you know exactly where to look. That's why I say check your change. Every single coin you touch could be a hidden treasure. Now, if you're wondering how to spot one of these yourself, here's the identification guide I use. First, always check the edge. A normal dime has perfect, continuous ridges all the way around. If the reading looks broken, weak, or uneven, set it aside immediately. Second, check for any doubling on the letters of liberty, or, "In God we trust." Even a faint doubling can push the value up. Finally, look at the strike itself. If Roosevelt's profile or the reverse torch looks even slightly off-center, you could be staring at a high-value error coin. And here's another wow factor, just for you on this channel. I placed my coin under an electron microscope at a local lab, something most collectors never get access to. What I saw absolutely floored me. The metal flow lines, the tiniest imperfections in the strike, they were crystal clear. You could actually see where the die slipped during the strike. It looked like frozen ripples across the surface. That microscopic view proved beyond a doubt this was no ordinary dime. That's the kind of behind-the-scenes proof I love to share, because it shows you just how special these discoveries really are. So there you have it. This rare 2006 Roosevelt dime, worth potentially thousands, found in an ordinary $2 bankroll. A coin most people would spend without thinking twice, turned out to be a hidden treasure. If you've ever doubted whether it's worth checking your change, let this be your proof. Comment "Coin Hunt" below if you're as excited as I am to keep searching. And don't miss next week's video, where I reveal a collection of rare coins valued at over $10,000 that you absolutely need to look for. Remember, check your change. Your next treasure might already be in your pocket.